On today's show, what if I told you Luka Doncic didn't play a game? Kyrie Irving shot 6 of 25 from the field, and the Mavs won. That's what happened tonight. I'm going to tell you why on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
I won't stop.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And let it. And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being an everydayer, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Subscribe to our free Locked On Mavs newsletter, your one-stop for the best news and analysis on the Dallas Mavericks and the NBA. 5 days a week, sent straight to your inbox every day, and it's free. Subscribe to that. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel, and you can put down $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. And joining me, as always, he is the clipped crooner, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
You know what I was thinking about when they first started this game, and I was like, I was thinking about that hoodie that they made a few years ago, the Clippers. And
oh my gosh, yeah,
the audacity to put they had this dunk on Maxey, they put it on a hoodie, and it's like Paul George, Marcus Morris, Kawhi wears it, and I'm like, the funny fact is they went to one conference finals run in that Kawhi Paul George. Marcus Morris is barely in the league, and Paul George is on a different team. It's like, shout out to the Clippers, though. A lot of success in the Kawhi PG era.
What a run. Yeah, what a run for that group.
Good always beating them. It's always a good time.
Definitely is always good beating the Clippers. Today's episode, we'll get into the Mavs win against the Clippers. We'll talk about how the Mavs figured it out, how the Mavs got a win there, how they played some great defense in this game. Yes. Some balanced scoring. We'll talk about Kyrie's struggles and what that means and if that's positive for the Mavericks and all that. I think it is. And we'll talk about that. Let's just start it, Isaac. This Mavs team.
You look like you're in some disco club.
That's right, I am.
If you pause it on YouTube, if you pause it at a certain time, you look like you could be in Wicked because your whole body's green.
You know, a really low-key thing about this is that the Mavs ribbon banner thing, the LED board that I stand in front of, is really tame when they lose, and it's really wild when they win.
Yeah. I just want you to survive. Nick has a stalker tonight, so
I do.
I
had a guy got mad at me at concessions he said I cut in front of him, and then the police got involved. I'll just say that.
If Nick's not on the pod in the next few days,
so
I might be writing in subtext asking for help.
Yeah, we may be replacing a Locked On Mavs host. So we had two things happen. I had somebody confront me and yell at me and get mad at me. This is the first time that's ever happened to me. And we had a real organic wave happen here in the stadium where it started with a group of people down in 124, and they just kept throwing their hands up over and over again, and it finally went all the way around, and it started to go. It was the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Oh, so many things. Well, I'll talk about real basketball, but first, real quick, Isaac and I are now official members of the Dereck Lively Hype Squad.
This is adorable.
We got our shirts today. Kid, it's from Mrs. Cohen, Miss Cohen's elementary school class. They started this group called the Dereck Lively Hype Squad, and they follow the Mavs every day. And we followed this story, and they came and they gave us these little bags.
Yes.
With our names on them, with the cards. Cards
Spell
are
my name
out.
right too, Miss Cohen. We love you.
Teaching good spelling. Look at this. How great is this card that I got?
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Incredible. Shout out to Witten who gave me mine.
Witten.
Incredible stuff. Honored and grateful to be part of the Dereck Lively Hype Squad. And honestly, Dereck Lively had a great game tonight. I thought he bounced back. And if we want to talk about defense and we want to start there, I thought that he was much better. And I thought the Mavericks decided to send help on those Zubac post-ups, which is different from what they did in the first game of this kind of two-game series. And it was just a night and day difference. Zubac, 13 points, 6 of 10 for the field. He really couldn't get a lot going. Harden, 6 of 18, 19 points. The Mavs defense was on point. They were in passing lanes. They had 7 steals in the first half. The Clippers had 17 turnovers. They were getting all over the place, and I thought this was a great defensive win for the Mavericks.
I love the defense. I mean, you look at that first half, 22 points in the first, 18 in the second. You hold a team to 40 points in the first half, in a half in general, but first half, you hold a team under 100 points on the game. This team defensively tonight, I mean, we just did a podcast, on the team defense and the things that they've been doing well, but they're right at that like 10 number as far as defensive rating in the league, 10th in the league.
Rank.
It's games like this that help you, move up into that top 10, further. And it starts with a leader like a Kyrie Irving saying, I want James Harden.
That's right.
Kyrie taking James Harden and being up at his grill. I mean, we're talking about the two
from
guys.
Jump.
There's a lot of history there, right? From friendship. I don't know what the relationship stuff is now.
It was like enemies to lovers, then lovers to enemies again.
I just don't even know what it is, but it's just like they've obviously competed on the big stages against each other before. But the fact that he won him, he took him, and he was up in his grill for most. I mean, it's just. That was super impressive, and I thought Kyrie played great defense, and I thought the whole team played defense. The team win in this, I think, is the story of the game too, with 8 players in double figures. Like
everyone in rotation, everyone in the rotation except for Maxey was in double figures, which seems like a stat. That stat seems like a slight to Maxey, but it's more of a celebration.
Come on, Maxey.
More of a celebration of everyone else on this team because it was balanced across the board. Quentin Grimes. 14 points in the fourth quarter. We'll talk about him, but the scoring across the board, they got just enough done on offense, and their offense actually ended up being pretty good. They finished with a 118 offensive rating, which is above average. You'll take that. But the Mavs defensive rating, 101.1 points allowed per 100 possessions. And this was a little slower game. There was only 95 possessions. And so that defensive rating is awesome. And it is because I thought the Mavs changed their game plan a little bit. They had set the tone guy in Kyrie. They had Naji felt like he was a little bit more back. You had Quentin Grimes running around. And, man, I'll go back to Lively. I just thought he made such a big impact on this game. He finished with, 11 boards, 5 offensive boards. And the rebounds he got, I just felt like were all these just big, grown man rebounds. Go up and grab them. I think those rebounds matter. Some of them may not, but I think those ones do.
All rebounds matter. They won the rebounding battle by 3 tonight. So that was why they won.
You can't say all rebounds matter.
I'm sorry. You look at.
I said offense. I said all offensive rebounds matter. You can't come in and say all rebounds.
That's true. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. You look at Dereck Lively. Of those rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds from Dereck Lively tonight. That was huge. But you look at a couple of the smaller ones here: 2 steals, 5 assists, and 2 blocks. You're talking about impact in the game. You finished with 11-11, 5-2 and 2. That's an all-around game right there. I thought Ty Lue had a quote before the game because I think it's something that we talk about all the time is what's the Mavericks look like when they don't have Luka, and to hear an opposing coach talk about it because now the Mavericks are 6-2 without Luka this season. Wow. And I say that more of a testament to how the Mavericks have built a roster around Luka, because you go back to the seasons before this and you look at the record whenever they didn't have Luka, and you're like, all right, we're kind of struggling here. Now they've been 6-2 this season, and Ty Lue was asked. Mike Curtis, Dallas Morning News, great follow. Asked Ty Lue before the game how the Mavericks play without Luka. And Ty Lue says this: the biggest thing that stands out is they play faster. They play fast with getting out in transition, and then 2, when they have the ball on the second side, guys are attacking. They're usually coming off swinging it back to Luka or Kyrie, but now you got guys coming out of those corners and attacking and getting to the basket. Everybody's live. It makes it a lot harder, and it just shows you that it just changes up so much of their defense and so much of their offense too. That everybody's flying around the floor. You saw it tonight, the hustle, the effort, the energy, and that starts on the defensive end whenever you're holding a team like that, a James Harden team, to 40 points in the first half.
Amazing. Great team win all around. The Mavs, like I said at the beginning, they got to win when Luka didn't play, Kyrie didn't shoot well at all, and they still found a way to get a win. Amazing. Let's talk about other ways the Mavs got this win. Let's talk about through how they got the bounce scoring all across. Let's talk about that and more coming up.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Robinhood Gold. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows you to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn a very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. Those generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the action. Love to see what we got at FanDuel. There's all kinds of college football stuff now that we've got a couple of matchups here. And it was great to see the Longhorns. I saw a lot of happy Longhorns fans here after that game. A lot of NFL stuff as well. Go check out and see what they have available for you, as well as the NBA. And if you put down $5 on your first bet and that first bet wins, you get $150 in bonus bets right now. It's FanDuel.com. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, our listeners. Appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show today and for listening. We have a daily show. Daily. We'll go through Christmas as well. We'll have the Christmas Day game. We've got a game. I'll be here for it. Slightly will be here for it. I got a request for Slightly to be suited and booted on Christmas Day. So we'll see if he can follow through on that.
Follow through Slightly. Pressure's
A couple of listeners wanted that today. We also have the QR code. Check the QR code for different ways to follow the show. We've got the newsletter. We have the Locked On Mavs Insiders. Had a couple of people come up and say, hey, I just subscribed to the Insiders, and I'm glad I did. I loved it. The only thing that I get mad at is when you say that the injury report's not available. Which, not my fault. But
let me say this real quick. I tweeted this out during the game or after the game. There was somebody who wrote us tonight on subtext, said it was their first Mavs game in person since 1985.
Oh my gosh,
that is incredible.
And I just
wrote him back and said, I bet things are a little different.
I mean, it was probably a reunion, right?
yeah. But it's just crazy. I mean, that's so awesome. That's so cool that we have a subtext subscriber and it's been a Mavs fan since early 80s. Yeah,
so subscribe to be an insider. Text the number in the description or text the number that you see on the screen or check the QR code. Do you want to guess who led the Mavericks in minutes played on that 1985 team?
No, I don't.
You know top 6. Not even top 7, I bet you could get.
I don't know. Who's the top?
Number 1 is the guy that I followed out of the I accidentally followed out of the parking garage yesterday, and that was Rolando Blackman.
Dirk? Oh, no, sorry.
I did not park in the same parking garage as Dirk. I wish. I wish I could. Mavs get a win against the Clippers. A great team win all around. We talked about their defense. We gave great props to pretty much everybody. Like you said, it was a team win where it felt like they were connected. It felt like they were together. And you see the depth of this team that this Mavericks team has. I mean, Ty Lue, you mentioned those quotes about how this offense is different, but the defense, I feel like, the defense can be like that with Luka on or off. But the defense, you see how good it's been with this Mavericks team. And you'd think that Dinwiddie's out there, Kyrie's out there, some guys that aren't necessarily super strong defenders. Klay Thompson, 34 years old, people didn't think he was going to be a good defender anymore. And this Mavs defense is still working with all those guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought Klay, you mentioned Klay, I mean, hit 4 threes tonight in the game. He had some passes tonight that I thought were awesome, some hockey assists and stuff. I thought, I mean, we could go down the line and talk about how players, how each player, I mean, the fact that we'll talk about Grimes in a second, but the fact that Grimes was their leading scorer with 20 points.
That's right.
And it feels like they won this game by what? Almost 20, 15, 16 points. And their leading scorer only had 20 points. Something that meant a lot to me. And sorry, got to bring the Ravens into this real quick. Derrick Henry, after they beat the Steelers today, great win for the Baltimore Ravens. But Derrick Henry said their word all week going into the Steelers game was finish. They knew they had to just finish strong. Like they were confident in how they're going to start and all the stuff. They just had to finish their game, keep playing their game, and they're confident in who they are. And that's what it got into that fourth quarter. And it's like, don't you dare give this game away, Dallas. And they got into that fourth, and they finished strong. They held up on the defensive end, and they outscored the Clippers in the fourth quarter. They put up 39 points, their high scoring quarter of the whole game. And they finished strong. They pulled out the lead. They pulled out the game. And I loved how they finished tonight there in the fourth.
They pulled it out and finished. That's what the Mavericks did.
God bless. You just talked about how Mrs. Cohen's class gave us a shirt, and we're part of this fan club. Mrs. Cohen's class is probably going to listen to this on Monday.
You can't set me up like that.
We're sorry, Mrs. Cohen.
I
know that kids listen to this show. God.
They didn't need to know. They didn't need to know anything. Quentin Grimes. Let's talk about my guy, Quentin Grimes. I've been in his corner all offseason, all through the season, and he
finished in the fourth watching that.
He was my guy that I said he was my Jason Kidd. I have to apologize. He felt like he should have played more. Player of the year, and he is getting some opportunity. He's been in the rotation now for a while, but 25 minutes, 20 points, led the team in scoring. Hit 3 threes. That means he hit 4 twos as well. Hit 3 free throws on a foul. He gets fouled on threes a lot. Had 7 rebounds as well. 2 of them on the offensive end. He's a role player that, people talk about these kind of role players in football. And I think it was Mike Lombardi that has this analogy where there's guys that are 25% players, 50% players, 100% players. Luka is like 100% player. You know what you're gonna get from him 100% of the time. He's gonna bring it, and you know what you're gonna get. Then there's the 50% players where every other game you're gonna get a really good game. Then every once in a while they may they may slink back, or they may kind of disappear a little bit because they're not 100% players. They're not the stars, the MVP types. Quentin Grimes, I think, is like a 33% player, where like a third of the time you're going to get a game like this, or you'll get a game where he plays really, really good defense, or you just get something from him where all of a sudden you go, man, that like really jumped off the page. And the Mavs have like 5 or 6 of these 33% guys that just can show up at any given moment, and he is one of them. It's been great to watch. It's been great to see him get more confidence. He's handling the ball more. He's handling the ball in pick and rolls. He's pulling up in, like, he had one play where I feel like he went around the world dribbling the ball and then ended up stopping and pulling up for like a long 2, and he ended up putting it in. I mean, just the confidence from him is at an all-time high right now, and you got to love it.
He has sneaky bunnies, sneaky hops. There's sometimes he drives it to the paint and he goes up for a layup, and I'm like, whoa, he just elevates a little bit higher than what I thought of him coming into this season. But no, I mean, he did miss a shot in the fourth quarter. He had 14 points in the fourth. Literally, it felt like everything he threw up. I mean, literally everything he did throw up went in there in the fourth. And this is one of the reasons why they pulled it out and finished the game strong.
See now.
Yeah, now I can't even talk about them. But no. I mean, yes, Grimes was the guy tonight. His defense and stuff was good too. It just shows you the balance they have across the roster. And yeah, trade season is here, and trade deadline in February, and we'll do trade pods and have fun with it and stuff. But something that we've been consistently saying, and we're probably going to consistently say as long as there's no injuries, is this is like one of the first years where it's like, I mean, they might do something like smaller, but like there's not many holes on the roster. They're one of the best teams in the NBA.
Yes.
And it's something for us just to enjoy. This is a game. I mean, you're without Luka. You're playing a team again that you just played 2 nights ago. And yeah, I mean, Kyrie didn't have a good game at all. Like, it was his first game back, kind of rusty. What did Kyrie finish with tonight? 15 points. Kyrie was 6 of 25.
6 of 25. Only took 1 free throw.
There's one thing, Norman Powell shooting 22 shots, but no, I mean, Kyrie 6 of 25 tonight. It's like, it was kind of like he had to force some shots sometimes, but he would hey, I almost have to get in rhythm. I got to make some shots for us to win. And honestly, they showed that he didn't. He never really, I mean, he had some cool shots here and there, but 6 of 25 and the Mavericks still win not even a close game. It just shows you how deep this team is.
With a Clippers team that's almost all the way healthy. I mean, they obviously don't have Kawhi. But then they don't have Terrence Mann in this game. But the Clippers team that's been good with the players that they had on the court, they've been an above 500 team, just beat the Mavericks the other night. It's a great win. Like, it's a great win for that team without Luka. You'll really take that.
Harden only had 19 in this game, so
yeah. I look at a game like this and you just realize how far this roster has come. This is one of these games where you see how much work Nico Harrison has done. Quentin Grimes this year trade for Tim Hardaway, and he was kind of like a throw-in in that deal. PJ threw up an alley-oop to Gafford in this game, and you go, man, where would the Mavs be without those two guys doing the things that they did? And Nico got those trades done not even a year ago. I mean, it hasn't even been a full year yet with those guys on the Mavericks. Klay Thompson got that done. He hit 4 threes in this one. Dereck Lively, the first draft pick, or the first round draft pick that he got. Kyrie Irving, even taking a risk at the time to bring in Kyrie, Dinwiddie, keeping the relationship with him to trade him away and still have him want to come back and play for the Mavericks, right? Like Naji Marshall to bring in him. Yeah, he turned down. He came back to Mama, and now he's back and he's playing well. And then Naji Marshall, a signing, like an underrated signing in the offseason, he has 12 points, 4 of 8 from the field, hit 2 threes. The Mavs, waited on him, and his shot has come around. Like, all these moves that Nico has made, he's just hitting double after double after double on all these.
No, I mean, yeah, you start going, and the fact that you go back to that Quentin Grimes move, and you look at it tonight, and you say, all right, he had 20 points in a win when Luka didn't play, and you got him on a Tim Hardaway salary dump.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they just had it, like, they got him thrown in there. I've seen different national people talk about that or tweet about it during the games this season of like, wait, Dallas literally just got Grimes for like hardly anything. They were salary. I mean, look at some of these contracts across the league. You look at like Reggie Jackson, took him 3 second-round picks to dump him. And and they attach like 2 to Tim Hardaway, and they get Quentin Grimes in return. This is the type of move that Nico Harrison does.
He does. Coming up, let's talk about the rest of this. How did the Mavs get all these guys scoring in double figures? What stood out? Who else stood out to us? Talk about that and more coming up.
You don't believe you shouldn't be here.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Isaac, let's talk about the rest of this game. Mavs get a win. Luka didn't play. Kyrie didn't shoot well. The team played great defense across the board. Had a much better, I thought, defensive game plan with Jason Kidd. Collapsing on the rolling from Zubac and not letting them just get wide open passes. They did have a couple of Harden just drives straight to the rims that were frustrating, but for the most part, they contained those really well too. And the only player they couldn't really contain was Norman Powell, but he took 22 shots, scored 28 points, and he had 9 of 10 on the free throw line, but the rest of it was inefficient. And so this team gets a good win. Let's go across the board. Who else stood out to you as far as double-digit scores? We talked about Klay. What he can create. You mentioned Klay a little bit earlier, and Klay's work in the pick and roll is the last couple of games is really what I thought he would be getting going with this Mavericks team. There was a comment I made in like a post-game real short video where I said Klay couldn't get anything going off the dribble, and I was frustrated. It was like after a frustrating loss. It was the one where I was laying on the floor after the Jazz loss, and a bunch of Warriors fans found it. Were like, if you thought Klay was going to get anything going off the dribble, you're sadly mistaken, and all those things. But to see the stuff that he did, running a pick and roll with Lively, dribble handoffs where he's coming around a screen and he's able to get the ball, take a couple of dribbles, and then even get to a layup. That's the stuff that I wanted to see from him. He had a couple of really good plays off of the pick and roll where he was handling the ball and he was the ball handler, and that's the stuff you want to see like twice a game, maybe 3 times a game when Luka and Kyrie are healthy, is stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned earlier about his defense. I mean, he had 4 steals in this game. Had a couple stuff late. That was just like he's just smarter. He's just outsmarting them. So, yeah, I thought Klay played a good game. Are you there? Sorry, I can't hear you anymore. God, what did you do now? Do you want me to show you how to? Do you need me to show you how to do the soundboard and audio? I'll keep going. We'll do a little training sesh after the pod. No, I thought Naji had some good moments tonight, especially in transition and getting into the paint. Obviously, Daniel Gafford. One of the funniest things was on the broadcast. I watched it on the broadcast tonight. They had Daniel Gafford mic'd up. Can you still hear me at least? Cool. Blink twice. Is this the stalker? Did he just come and like unplug everything and is going after you? I thought Daniel Gafford tonight. They had him mic'd up. All right.
Check.
And now I can hear you.
They had so many issues the last 2 games.
Shh, I'm in the middle of something.
Oh, sorry.
They had Daniel Gafford mic'd up tonight, and it was hilarious because they kept on showing the mic'd up segment, and it was literally him just going, "Ah! Ah!" after a block or a dunk, and it's just like, what am I watching here? Well, I'm not. It was fun. Like I like hearing him yell on big plays, and but it was just funny to hear Daniel Gafford mic'd up and him just screaming.
They had him mic'd up it was the Rockets Thunder, the NBA Cup game, and they had Ime Udoka mic'd up, and they said that they couldn't use any of it because he sweared too much.
Yeah.
They couldn't use a single thing.
What intern picked Ime?
Yeah, that was really funny.
Right, just laughed at him. Kevin Porter Jr. is such an interesting player on the basketball court. He's one of I think 3 players in the league who wears 77.
It was weird. It was weird hearing Sean Heath go foul on 77, and then you're like, wait, what?
Luka playing?
Yeah.
He is you could tell he's just a naturally gifted scorer, but there's also, he was a minus 16 in this game, had 19 off the bench, but there's also so many other things. It's just you look at a guy like that and there's so much potential, but sometimes potential stays potential.
You want to talk about the Rockets? The Rockets invested a lot in him, and those couple years where they were awful, he was running the show all the time, and then they moved on from him, got Fred VanVleet, and then they turned into a good team. You just see the difference, and sometimes 19 points isn't 19 points. This is my classic thing that I learned from watching Dirk's career, is that Dirk can average 24 points and Bradley Beal can average 30 points, and those points mean completely different things because they're happening in different high leverage portions of the game, or for the Wizards' case, not high leverage portions.
Yeah. 19 points is not always 19 points. Mavericks have a game coming up on Monday night against the Blazers. And, they're already one of the hottest teams in the league. They have a chance to go into Christmas Day as still one of the hottest teams in the league. And hopefully, Luka's at least back for Christmas Day. So I don't know anything about Monday night stuff.
I feel like that's the play, though. I feel like they'll maybe he'll trot him out for the Trailblazers game because it's another home game on Monday. So maybe they'll trot him out, but they're definitely saving him for Christmas. The NBA was probably like, hey, this guy's got to be healthy for this game.
We got to have some good rating stuff.
The NFL's trotting out Beyonce.
NFL's trotting out Lamar versus CJ Stroud on Christmas Day.
It's fun. Not going to lie. It's fun. It's pretty fun. Oh, man.
I don't have anything else about this game. There's some defensive stuff they did, but...
Do we have to be the bummer and talk about Maxey?
What? We really going to talk about...
It was rough tonight, and your boy, Omax, needs to be playing.
Hello.
But I don't know how many more times we can do that in a post game. So I'm not gonna do a whole thing on that again.
Listen, Maxey's role is one thing: stretch 5.
He took 1-3 today.
Every team's got to have that ability. Honestly, if Maxey didn't play another single game for the rest of the regular season except for the playoffs, I kind of would get it, because he gives you something come playoff time that the other two just can't give you. I heard this whole breakdown the other day about the Knicks and what they're gonna, Mitchell Robinson when he's healthy, and what Cat does for him, and all this stuff come playoff time and matchups and stretch 5, and that's the one thing that Maxey brings. As much as people want to dump on him and how he's playing right now, and I get he's not playing he looks like he's struggling out there for sure, but he does bring that one thing that if he is healthy come playoff time, he gives you that stretch of minutes where he can play a stretch 5 and be the 5-man that can hit the threes, because it looks like Lively's just not there yet to hit threes.
Leave it to you to be able to name one more thing about Maxey.
I'm sorry. We started the pod with Maxey and hoodies, and
That's right.
Shout out to you actually asking Maxie about the hoodie and him just like kind of looking at you like, why are you asking me about this?
Yeah, he didn't want me to ask him that question. He did not for sure.
If I was postered and was put on a hoodie, I probably wouldn't want to talk about it either.
They got the last laugh, though. The Mavs have made it to the finals, and the Clippers never have in their entire franchise history. So, tough.
They got a new arena, though.
That's right. And the Mavs will probably get one, too. So, yeah, great.
My son might be playing for the Mavs at that point.
That's right. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Check the QR code for different ways to follow the show. Subscribe to be a Mavs insider and get texts straight from us. We appreciate everyone that does that. It supports our show. Guys, we'll be back with more. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom. I'm going to try not to get murdered tonight.